In 2002, Michael Jackson stood on a stage in London in front of a crowd of supporters and said something that no artist at his level had ever said publicly before. He called out the president of Sony's record division by name. He called him a racist. He called him devilish. He accused Sony and the major labels of conspiring against black artists, stealing, cheating, holding catalogs hostage, discarding legends when they'd squeezed out every last dollar.
Throughout the years, black artists have been taken advantage of completely. And it's time now that we have to put a stop to this incredible injustice. And like Mrs. Sharpton was saying, people from James Brown to Sammy Davis Jr., some of the real pioneers that inspired me to be the entertainer that I am. These artists are always on tour because if they stopped touring, they would totally go broken.
6 months before that speech, the first allegations of the second wave against him appeared in the press. Today, we go through the full documented story, the Sony battle, the Evan Chandler extortion attempt, and what the recorded evidence actually shows, the media's treatment of Jackson throughout, the 2005 acquittal that most people don't fully remember, and Oprah's documented role in shaping public perception of a man she later admitted she wasn't even close to. Everything in this video is clearly labeled documented fact, court record, unverified allegation. You will always know which is which. Let's get into it. To understand what happened to Michael Jackson, you have to start where he started it, with money. Jackson understood the music business in a way that made him genuinely dangerous to the people who profited from it. He had spent years going line by line through his contracts. He understood exactly how the system worked, how artists poured their lives into music and watched executives collect the real checks. He had famously purchased the ATV catalog that included Beatles songs, a move that made him one of the most powerful figures in music publishing and that Sony desperately wanted control of. His London speech in 2002 was not a rambling breakdown. It was a specific, documented accusation against specific people at a specific company.
It's been, the record companies really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists.
Now let me say this.
Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very devilish.
Dave Chappelle, who walked away from a $50 million deal and described the entertainment industry as a monster that builds people up to chew them out when they stop obeying, put it plainly.
I believe that they gave me a raw deal because this fucking industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too bitches was trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it fucks. And I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster.
Jackson had the money, the catalog, and the visibility to call that monster out by name in public. That makes you a specific kind of threat. The first allegation against Michael Jackson came in 1993. The accuser was Jordan Chandler, the 13-year-old son of Dr. Evan Chandler, a dentist and screenwriter based in Los Angeles. Here is what the documented record actually shows about how that allegation came to exist. On August 2, 1993, Dr. Evan Chandler extracted a tooth from his own son. During the procedure, under the supervision of an anesthesiologist, he administered sodium amytal. Sodium amytal is a barbiturate with sedative and hypnotic properties. It is not a standard anesthetic for dental procedures. According to subsequent accounts, it was during or after this procedure that Jordan Chandler first made the allegation against Jackson. What happened next is also documented. Dr. Evan Chandler did not go to the police. He went to a lawyer, and through that lawyer, he communicated a demand, $20 million paid privately to make the matter go away. If Jackson did not pay, the allegation would become public. Jackson refused, and there is a recording. Jordan's stepfather, suspicious of Dr. Chandler's motives, recorded a phone conversation in which Chandler described what he was planning to do.
This man is going to be humiliated beyond belief. He will not believe it. He will not believe what's going to happen to him. Beyond his worst nightmares. Sell one more record. This attorney I found, I interviewed several, and I picked the nastiest son of a bitch I could find. Once I make that phone call, this guy is just going to destroy everybody in sight. Any devious, nasty, cruel way that he can do it. And I've given him full authority to do that. It'll be a massacre if I don't get what I want. If I go through with this, I win big time. I will get everything I want, and they will be destroyed forever. They will be destroyed. June is going to lose Jordy. She will have no right to ever see him again. Yeah. That's fact, Dave. That's what's going to happen. Michael's career will be over. Does that help Jordy? Michael's career will be over. And does that help Jordy? That's irrelevant to me.
That is the man who made the first allegation, on tape, before going public, describing his plan to destroy Michael Jackson and the people around him. The LAPD conducted a criminal investigation. It found no physical evidence against Jackson. The case was closed less than a year later. The media had already run the story worldwide. After the 1993 case was closed with no charges, you might expect the story to end. It didn't. What followed was a years-long sustained reframing of Michael Jackson in the public imagination. The nickname Wacko Jacko appeared and spread across every tabloid and late-night monologue. His vitiligo, a documented skin condition that destroys pigmentation, was framed as vanity or self-hatred, despite his clear and repeated explanations. In 1993, Oprah Winfrey conducted what became one of the most watched interviews in television history with Jackson. She sat him down like a defendant and asked him whether he was bleaching his skin because he didn't want to be black.
Okay, number one, this is the situation. Yes. I have a skin disorder that destroys the pigmentation of the skin. It's something that I cannot help. Okay, but when people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me.
So it is.
It's a problem for me, okay? I can't control it, okay? But what about all the millions of people? Let's reverse it.
Okay.
What about all the millions of people who sit out in the sun to become darker, to become other than what they are? Nobody says nothing about that.
So
Oprah used that interview, his face, his story, his vulnerability, to build one of the defining moments of her career. Years later, when he passed, she said on camera that she had never considered herself a friend of his, and that her feelings about him had changed over the years. She cashed in on his image, then distanced herself from it, and then she hosted the Leaving Neverland special, sitting across from two men whose stories would later be subjected to serious legal and credibility challenges, and treated every word as settled truth. When questions about those men's motives and credibility began to surface in subsequent years, there was no primetime follow-up, no acknowledgement that the picture might be more complicated. The damage to Jackson's name was left standing. In 2003, almost exactly a decade after the first allegation, and shortly after Jackson's Sony battle became public, a second wave of allegations arrived. A boy named Gavin Arvizo accused Jackson of multiple counts of child sexual abuse. Jackson was charged with 7 counts. The trial was a global media event. The jury acquitted him on every single count. Not a hung jury, not a mistrial. Acquitted, on all charges. What most people remember from that period is not the acquittal. They remember the Wacko Jacko headlines, the late-night jokes, the courtroom footage with the umbrella, the Dr. Conrad Murray recordings of Jackson sounding medicated, recordings that notably were made by his own doctor and somehow reached the press. Dr. Evan Chandler, whose 1993 extortion demand set the entire first wave in motion, died in November 2009. 5 months after Michael Jackson died, he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. No note was left. Jordan Chandler, his son, whose allegation had circled the world in 1993, was by then an adult who had legally distanced himself from his father, and whose mother had publicly expressed doubts about her ex-husband's honesty throughout the original ordeal. We have covered Oprah Winfrey's documented associations in previous videos on this channel. In the context of Michael Jackson's story, the specific question is about the consistency of her treatment. Oprah spent years photographed alongside Harvey Weinstein, at events, on red carpets, in documented professional collaborations. When Weinstein's crimes became public in 2017, she was initially slow to publicly distance herself. Rose McGowan, one of Weinstein's accusers, posted publicly about Oprah and their connection. Oprah's representatives have denied various claims about the nature of that relationship. All of that is the documented, on-the-record version of events. We are not stating Oprah was complicit in Weinstein's crimes. She has not been charged with anything. What is observable is the contrast. Michael Jackson, acquitted on all charges, whose primary accuser's father was documented on tape planning to destroy him before going public, was subjected to sustained media framing as Wacko Jacko, a punchline, a monster. Oprah, whose documented proximity to Harvey Weinstein and whose South Africa Leadership Academy faced a documented abuse scandal involving a dormitory matron charged with 13 counts of indecent acts against students, received coverage consistently framed as concerned mentor, doing her best in difficult circumstances. The dormitory matron case is documented and was widely reported. The school faced a second incident involving student-on-student misconduct within 2 years of opening. These are verified facts reported by NBC, Time Magazine, and Reuters, which we covered in detail in a previous video. The disparity in how the media treated these two situations is not subtle, and it raises a question that Candace Owens, who openly stated she once believed Jackson was guilty, eventually put directly.
Exact same tactics that they tried to use on me. Someone pressed a button and there was a full court press effort to cancel Candace Owens by trying to convince the people that she just went crazy and anti-Semitic. Thank goodness I'm not from Hollywood. They would have institutionalized me and said that it was for my good. There are a ton of people in Hollywood who, when they have tried to speak out about things that are happening to them, have received this same treatment. I believe this is what happened to Britney Spears.
Her point is that the machine has a playbook, and once you know what the playbook looks like, the timing of Jackson's allegations against the backdrop of his Sony battle starts to look less like coincidence.
Media, man, it is one hell of an entity. It really can have you thinking that the bad people are good and the good people are bad.
He described the strip search, conducted under warrant, photographing his body including his genitals, as the most humiliating experience of his life. He described the accusations not just as false, but as punishment. And in what has been described as one of his final conversations, the details of which are unverified and we present as such, he reportedly said there were people who did not want him around anymore, that he didn't understand it, that something was going to happen. Whether that reflects genuine fear based on real information or the anxiety of a man under sustained pressure, we cannot know for certain. What we can say is this: Michael Jackson went to war with Sony over Black artists' rights and catalog ownership. He named the most powerful executive in the record industry a devil on camera, and the most sustained character assassination campaign in modern entertainment history followed. The jury that heard all the evidence acquitted him on every count. The nickname stuck anyway. Here is what the documented record shows. Michael Jackson understood the music industry's exploitation of Black artists better than almost anyone. He said so publicly. He called out specific people by name. He was winning a battle with one of the most powerful companies in entertainment. The first allegation against him came from a man who demanded $20 million before going to the police, whose own recorded voice describes planning to destroy Jackson before making anything public. The case produced no physical evidence and was closed. The second wave of allegations resulted in a full criminal trial. Jackson was acquitted on every single count. The media coverage that defined his public image for decades did not reflect those outcomes. It reflected something else. A sustained, specific framing that turned a global icon into a punchline and kept that framing running long after the courts had spoken. Dave Chappelle called it a monster. Michael Jackson called it out by name. The pattern of what happened to both of them when they did, labeled crazy, unstable, dangerous, is something worth examining honestly. Not everything that happened to Michael Jackson has a clean answer, but some of it does. The jury acquitted him. The nickname stayed. That gap is worth understanding. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.